Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Pokemon Pocket deck profile for you. I am coming at you with the Palkia deck profile. I did actually manage to pull my second Palkia since my last video that I posted, which would have been the Dialga one, I think. But for a deck list, we're on 2 EV, 2 Vaporeon, 2 Manaphy, 2 Palkia EX. We got 2 Pokeball, 1 Pokemon Communication, 2 Giant Cape, 2 Professor's Research, 2 Misty, 2 Leaf, 1 Cyrus. So, yeah, a lot of people were saying that Palkia was kind of like mid on release, but to be fair, we hadn't seen Manaphy yet, and Manaphy is really where this deck's power is truly going to shine. Manaphy can, of course, for 1 water energy, attach a water energy each to 2 of your benched Pokemon. And those Pokemon don't even have to be water types. That's one of the reasons why it plays so well with EV Vaporeon, is that you can attach the water energy to an EV. Our first opponent here is going to be on Mewtwo. A deck that is honestly very quickly getting phased out of the meta, mostly due to how poor its Darkrai matchup tends to be. Alright, we are finding a Pokeball and a Professor's Research off the Professor's Research that I initially played. There's a Manaphy off the Pokeball. Definitely, of course, still looking for that Palkia at this point, but we'll take what we've got here. I decided to throw out the second Eevee here, just in case I need to get my Manaphy online next turn, and I'll admit I am a little bit scared of Mars at this point. I don't think Mars is the most popular card, but I've seen it crop up enough here and there that I do kind of go out of my way to play around it sometimes. Mars, of course, being the kind of supporter version of Red Card with a slightly more powerful effect. Giving you a card back after shuffling your hand in for each remaining point, the opponent that is. Anyway. Opponent's going to evolve into Kirlia here. I'm very glad they didn't open with the Mew. That would have been a lot more of a pain to have to deal with. So we do have the Prof's Research as well as our draw for turn to try to find the Palkia here. Waiting for our opponent. I think they're debating, they're debating what they want to put their energy on. I imagine they're trying to figure out if they want to put it on Kirlia and swap something in, but they decide to build up Mewtwo instead. Which I don't blame them for, but at the same time, I think it might be important to get your Kirlia out of the active slot here. I think I might have retreated Kirlia for Mew in this situation, but yeah, so for your choice of Eevee, because there's like 4 different Eevees in the game right now, there's arguments for a lot of them, I think except the newest one is probably the weakest one. I went for Mythical Island's Continuous Step Eevee, drawing Palkia for turn. Also pulled a Crown Royal one, which was very nice, but I went for Continuous Steps Eevee, the Mythical Island one, just to try and high roll. But I mean, there's an argument for the promo one, which has Growl. That's a good defensive body. The Genetic Apex EV can simply do 20 damage. It's a lot more reliable than Continuous Steps. But again, I kind of like the idea of high rolling with Continuous Steps. I think it's funny. So, all right, here we're bringing in the Manaphy, and now we can start setting up our benched Pokemon here. I figure unless they have an X-Speed or a Leaf, they can't Psychic Sphere the Manaphy this turn, so hopefully I'll get one more Oceanic Gift out of it. Alright, energy for turn, Routes goes in the bench, and thankfully they don't have X-Speed or Leaf. I kind of figured that they didn't, based on the way they played last turn. They would have had to have top-decked it. Decided to go for the Misty here, see if we can high roll a little bit. And alas, we don't, but that's all good. I'll use my energy for turn on the Palkia. And I really should have played the Giant Cape on the Manaphy here, actually. That was a misplay on my part to not do so. That way it would have survived the Psychic Sphere. I would have had to have forced them to use Side Drive, if they even have Gardevoir in hand here. Well, again, they also need to be able to switch in to the Mewtwo. Okay, so here they're using Leaf on the Kirlia. Yeah, especially because I have both Capes in hand, I definitely should have put one on Manaphy here. I think more than anything else, just to not give them a point. I think I'm fine on the energy ramp. I don't think I need more of that, but not giving them a point would have been pretty good here. Alright, so naturally I'm going to bring in my Palkia. I'm really looking for a Vaporeon here to make use of the remaining 2 energy on my Eevee, and we do manage to find it, which is pretty good. Now we can Vaporeon evolve there. Gonna put a Giant Cape on Palkia. The reason I'm doing this is... So, I'm a little anxious about my opponent bringing in Mew, double evolving into Gardevoir, genome hacking, and then dimensional storming. So the Giant's Cape would let the Palkia survive that. I'm trying to think, trying to see, do I have Cyrus in hand? I do have Cyrus in hand. So, even if that was the case, I think I would still be in a situation where I could still win on a follow-up turn, potentially by switching in Vaporeon, Cyrusing out. Well, I guess if they both evolved into Gardevoir, the Curlios would be above 60 HP, or the Gardevoirs, rather, would be above 60 HP. In any case, we did manage to take the W there. Again, I think me not playing Giant's Cape on Manaphy was a misplay there for sure. Okay, our next opponent is going to be on Dialga. They're looking to set up Licky Licky with their Dialga. So there's a few different ways you can play Dialga as far as what you're setting up with the Metallic Turbo. We, of course, already showed off Melmetal. Yanmega has been a very popular variant, and there's been some mild success with this Licky Licky variant as well. I do suspect that Yanmega is probably just the best one, though, so... Opponent's got some very fancy arts here, too. I also noticed they were level 50. I think they might be whaling. I mean, I spent a decent bit, but I'm definitely not a whale. I think if I had to estimate, I've probably spent somewhere in the neighborhood of like $200 total on the game, which is a lot, don't get me wrong. It's a fair bit, but that's over the course of the entire time the game has been out. Also, and thank you all for this, by the way. I can kind of justify it because hopefully we are there at the time this video goes out, but if not, we're really, really close to a YouTube partner on this channel, actually. We've passed the 500 subscriber threshold, and we're not too far away as far as watch hours go. So thanks to everyone who's been watching for your support. I greatly appreciate it. Yeah, so here my opening's a little bit awkward. Because I had to lead with the Eevee. I drew the Palkia, I think, for turn, or off like a Pokeball or something there. I wasn't paying as much attention as I should have, but anyway. Yeah, and the Dialga having the Rocky helmet is pretty rough here, too. Not just for the Eevee, but also for the Palkia coming in. It means I can't just start, like, slashing for free, basically, right? Like, I could attack it with Slash, sure, but I'm going to take 20 damage back every time I do so. And... honestly, even taking one instance of 20 HP, yeah, is a bit of an issue for the Licky Licky. It only needs to land one heads to deal 140, which at that point would be enough to knock out Palkia. Alright, so here I'm going to have to just retreat using Eevee's like retreat cost. Unfortunately, giving up that water energy, bringing in the Palkia. I think I do use Slash here, mostly because I just wasn't thinking about what I just described until after the fact. Of how it would put me within range of getting knocked out by one heads on Licky Licky's attack. Although I guess the Licky Licky is still a couple of turns from being set up, to be fair. At the same time, though, is there any world where slashing would be good enough? Like, I'm going to have to pretty much always KO this Dialga, if I even do it, with the Dimensional Storm, right? Because even if I slashed again, that'd bring it down to 70, which Vaporeon's washout would not be enough to follow up KO. Yeah, so I think I probably just should have not slashed at all. And I think I actually figured that out around this point in the game as well, as I don't think I attack on the follow-up turn. I don't know, it's an interesting scenario. I actually like the tool cards, Giant's Cape and Rocky Helmet. I think they do add a pretty interesting dynamic to the game. They make it feel a lot more, or a lot less predictable, rather. I was going to say more dynamic, but I already described it as dynamic. Yeah, here you can see me clicking. I'm like really thinking if I want to attack or not, and I decide, I think, ultimately not to. But I also think I should have not done it the first time either. Because, well, I don't know. I'd be at 140, to be fair. That still puts me in range of getting knocked out with one heads off of Licky Licky's attack. Opponent's going to put a cape on their bench Dialga. Again, they have the Crown Dialga as well as the Immersive Dialga and the Full Art Licky Licky. Imagine another Metallic Turbo. Oh no, they're just retreating. Interesting. I feel like that's not the play, right? It was just Metallic Turbo anyway. They might have misclicked. Maybe? I don't know. Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like there's no way you don't just Metallic Turbo here, so... Yeah, the Leaf ultimately didn't end up doing anything there, but... And Leaf, unfortunately, is not going to do a lot for us, either. Licky Licky also being out of... well, I guess it's not out of Dimensional Storm range after I use the Dimensional Storm here. Although I don't really expect this Palkia to live through... I mean, it won't live through the next turn. The Licky Licky setup, it can do 100 damage. It doesn't even need to win the coin flip at all anymore. Yeah, at this point, I was pretty sure that the game probably just wasn't going to end in my favor. But, of course, we're still sticking it out here. Seeing it through to the end. I do actually still have the option to high roll with the Eevee at this point. It's like kind of quite literally my only option, but it is an option that I have. Yeah, even with the tails, again, Licking Fury still does base 100 damage, so that's enough to take out the Palkia here. And sure enough, we're just going to bring out the Eevee. And let's see if we can just flip 8 heads in a row. Stranger things have happened. I'm trying to think if I've ever landed that many on like a Misty before, but here we go. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ah, so close, but 5 heads in a row on the continuous steps. Ah, just 3 more away from KOing the Licky Licky and taking the game, just stealing the game out of nowhere. But you know what? That's still pretty obscenely good luck to flip 5 heads in a row. Yeah, they're going to follow up with a Licking Fury, and that'll be enough to KO the Eevee here. But GG, well played, Jay from Sinnoh. We do still have one more battle that we're going to finish off with here in a moment, but... Yeah, I had to keep that one, not only because of the finish, but it's Palkia versus Dialga, right? You can't not have that. Alright, so our last battle is going to be up against Pikachu, another one of the former Tier 1 decks. I guess I haven't really talked much about how Palkia has been performing. It, along with the Darkrai variants, has been one of the big breakout decks from the new set, and is looking to be Tier 1, just from its performance so far in the first few days. This is like a perfect opening hand here. We've got Manaphy, we've got Palkia, we've got Eevee, and Misty. I think the only thing that would have made this more perfect is if we had opened Vaporeon as well. However, I am a little bit anxious when I see Pikachu on the other side of the table there. Naturally, because we have the electric weakness. Although, to be fair, like, Manaphy would get one-shot by Circle Circuit anyway. And I think Dialga gets 2-shot by Circle Circuit anyway. It does, even if the opponent only has 2 benched. Because 60 plus 20 is 80 times 2 is 160. So unless you have a giant cape, the Palkia gets 2-shot by Circle Circuit with only 2 benched. Okay, they got the Pachirisu as well. That is another deck I do plan to cover, the Pachirisu variant of Pikachu. It's a very nice build because you don't have to play just mid-electric Pokemon anymore. I think I said that in one of our previous Pikachu deck profiles, that like as soon as we get another good EX electric Pokemon, the Pikachu EX deck is just like stunningly better. Okay, so we top decked a Pokeball for our fancy Palkia, and even if it's not optimal, you better believe I'm going to be putting that on the board. Decide to throw a Misty on it just to see how we can do here. And unfortunately, we do not land any heads, but that's okay. We still have Manaphy. So I'm going to use Manaphy's Oceanic Gift, and I'm going to put an energy on each of my Palkias. Actually, you know, I just said that like it might not have been optimal, but I think in this situation it actually is to set up both Palkias at once here. Like, you don't necessarily... I mean, there have been games where Vaporeon's Wave Splash actually does end up mattering, and I use it as an attack to win, but getting energy on Eevee/Vaporeon doesn't really matter most of the time. Alright, so I'm going to put my energy for a turn on one of my Palkias, then I'm just going to use Oceanic Gift again. Like, yeah, I know the Manaphy's going to get KO'd next turn, but I think that's completely fine. I'll give them a point here to keep setting up energies. Okay, so they've got Giant Cape on each Pikachu and Pachirisu. Got another Pikachu and a Zapdos on the bench there. So the way this is looking so far is that they're going to Circle Circuit my Manaphy, KO it. I'll bring in the 3 energy Palkia, attach another energy to it, Dimensional Storm. And then ideally I'll have drawn a Vaporeon by then to follow up with another Dimensional Storm on the next turn. Okay, so they're going to put a Rocky Helmet on the Zapdos. Sure enough, Circle Circuit does take out my Manaphy. That's fine. Again, that's expected. Going to bring in my fancy Palkia. Crown Royal versus Crown Royal here. I don't know if they're called Crown Royal rares. I used to call them rare cards Royals from Master Duel. Okay, so here we Pokeballed for a Manaphy. And I thought about using Pokemon Communication to try to find Vaporeon, but I decided I don't need to do it right this second. And I might end up in a situation where the Manaphy is better. So, also, if I wait to top deck for a turn, I might draw... Well, no, I don't have another Manaphy in my deck. I have another Eevee. That's the other Pokemon I could end up finding. Yeah, I could draw the Eevee in my deck and try to eliminate the RNG of, you know, pulling an Eevee instead of a Vaporeon out of my deck. So yeah, we're going to Dimensional Storm the Pikachu. Or not, I was about to say unfortunately, but it's very fortunate for us that that also takes all of our opponent's energy off the table, so they're not able to just start attacking with like the Pachirisu for 80 or the Pikachu for 60 to 90 on the follow-up turn, right? They're going to have to bring in Zapdos and then just Peck for 40 here. That is completely fine. At this point, even if I don't find Vaporeon off the Pokemon Communication, I should still be able to survive another turn and set up the Palkia on my bench anyway. But thankfully we do find it here, so I can just evolve my bench Eevee into Vaporeon. Now we move the energy from the 2 benched Palkia onto the active one, attach the energy for turn, and we can Dimensional Storm again and take the game. And I think, yep, our opponent's going to concede before we even have a time to do that. So there we are. Thanks for checking out this deck profile. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see some more. Definitely have some more planned and on the way. But for now, that is going to go ahead and end up doing it. So thanks so much for watching. This is Hexlex. I am signing out, and also hoping that you have a fantastic day.